Hey guys, today we are talking about how to do a 3-day colon cleanse. And really, when we look at our body, we know that bowel movements are just so critical for overall health. And so we should be having 1 to 4 bowel movements a day, unless we're going through some sort of an extended fast. But on a typical basis, we should be moving our bowels 1 to 4 times, okay, moving out all the waste from previous meals within 24 hours. So what that means is that if you consume food, let's say at, you finish your dinner at 6 p.m. on Monday, that it should have moved through your system and you should have pooped it out by 6 p.m. on Tuesday. Most people are not doing this. If that feces sits in your system for more than 24 hours, you're going to get a deep level of fermentation and putrefaction. And that releases a lot of endotoxins that can cause tremendous amount of stress on the body. They also damage the brain. They cause increased levels of inflammation in the brain and turn on what's called the neuroinflammasome, which can cause brain fog and irritability and anxiety and different issues like that. So ultimately, you want a really good daily rhythm, and your large intestine is most active between 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. So that's really when you're going to be most active uh, as far as moving your bowels, and that's a good rhythm to have. And then you should also be moving your bowels shortly after meals, particularly after like a more of a midday meal. Most people, it's really typically not a good rhythm to be pooping at night. That's when your large intestine is least active. So you want to get in a routine where you're moving your bowels 1 to 2 times in the morning, like the first hour or two that you wake up. And then after your first meal, if you're eating it, in the midday. Okay. So that would be a really good rhythm to be on. And again, when we move our bowels, we're significantly reducing our microbial load. We're getting rid of these destructive endotoxins, these byproducts of bacterial fermentation, and also really just the outer layer, the outer membrane of bacteria called lipopolysaccharides, which causes inflammation in the body. We're reducing inflammation. We're helping bring calmness and reducing anxiety. You'll notice when you move your bowels well that you'll have a much greater level of peace and calm. You'll also have better energy, better mental clarity. Your skin will be cleaner and you'll have less pain in your body. So a lot of great benefits to doing this. Now, what should your bowel movements look like? Ideally, they should be in this, basically 3, 4, 5 range. Okay. Where we really want it is more of like a 4. Okay. Where it's really easy to pass, smooth and soft. Okay. If it, from time to time jumps into, the 3 with a little bit of cracks, no big deal. At times it may be like these soft little blobs, like type 5. That's okay. These are all easy to pass. That's what we want on a typical basis. Now, you may eat something that has a high level of bacteria in it or something like that that you didn't know about. And for, let's say, 1 or 2 bowel movements, or maybe a day, you might have, more like the type 6 or 7. And then a healthy body will clear it out and you'll get back into that 3, 4, 5 range. Okay. If you're dehydrated, or if you, let's say you traveled and you just didn't drink enough and things like that, you may end up from, for a short period of time in that type 1 to type 2 range. But if you're 90% of the time in that 3, 4, 5, and at least 50% of the time in that type 4 range, then I think you're in a good place. That's going to be healthy bowel consistency. So that's what you want it to look like on a regular basis. Okay, now here are the danger signs of a toxic colon: chronic bad breath, which is oftentimes associated with H. pylori, which is a bacterial overgrowth in the stomach that shuts down stomach acid production. And H. pylori produces an enzyme called urease that neutralizes stomach acid, and that can come out and smell bad. Okay, so bad breath, gas and bloating. And H. pylori, one of the main symptoms is oftentimes constipation. So that can be a major symptom there. Now, in general, even if you don't have an H. pylori overgrowth, if you are constipated, the endotoxins, your body's going to try to get rid of these toxins in some way. And so what it'll often do is basically just respiration is a major way that we detoxify. So you'll notice that your breath will be more stinky when you're not pooping regularly because your body is eliminating waste through respiration. Gas and bloating. If you have frequent gas and bloating, acid reflux or indigestion, obviously constipation, dry skin and hair, another sign. Inability to gain weight. A lot of people are very much underweight and they eat a lot of food, but they're just not able to gain weight. And that's a sign that the body has reduced absorption. And this is because of uh, basically putrefied waste that's cocked up against the intestinal walls. And these people really need a good colon cleanse. If you have stinky farts, you're going to have a little bit of gas. That's no problem. But if your farts are really smelly, sulfury, right, or really smell like horse manure kind of thing, those sorts of smelly farts are indicative of poor protein or poor fiber breakdown. So if you have a sulfur type smell, it's typically an indication you're not producing enough stomach acid or bile to be able to really break down the protein and the fat effectively, and you'll notice more of that sulfur-like smell. Now, if it smells more like methane or like cow manure or horse manure, then that's going to typically be associated with just bacterial overgrowth in general. If you're fluctuating between constipation and diarrhea, right, this is a big issue. If you've got pain, chronic pain, in your intestines that you're noticing, unexplained fatigue, you've tried a lot of things, exercise, tried changing your diet, but you're still fatigued. Or if you've got chronic food sensitivities, you just can't tolerate eggs, dairy, gluten, different things like that. These are all signs that you have a toxic colon. And really, when we look at the colon, we're looking at this one cell wall, okay? And we know that if we have good bacteria, good microbiome, so there's more than just bacteria, there's yeast, healthy as well as pathogenic yeast. There's also viruses in there. Some are healthy, some are not. But if we have a good balance, our body's gonna produce regulatory T cells and enough secretory IgA, and we're gonna have a good immune response. If we don't, if we've got a bad makeup, we're going to end up with lower levels of regulatory T cells, lower levels of IgA, and we're going to end up with autoimmunity, allergies, metabolic disorders, chronic inflammation. So we really got to keep that clean. And we know that intestinal flora really plays a key role in our ability to absorb nutrients, our immune system, our ability to burn fat for fuel, keeping inflammation under control, mental function, mental development for kids. And so if we have bad gut microbes, that's going to increase inflammation and cause poor quality of life. So how do we do the 3-day colon cleanse? Well, number one is for 3 days, I recommend doing liquid nutrition. So this is a lot of clean, filtered water, herbal teas, right? Really good idea. So a lot of good herbal teas out there that support gut health. Protein shakes. So you're going to get your calories from protein shakes, from bone broth, from detox soups, and from green drinks, right? So you can I've got several great detox soups on my website. We have got a lemon detox soup, for example, a cucumber soup. We have got a curry soup, right, which uses coconut milk. That tastes fantastic. So we're trying to get this liquid nutrition in because we need less digestive juices, less stomach acid, less enzymes, less bile in order to break down and metabolize these. Much of it is pre-digested, okay? So these things are easier on our system. Now, also to help move the bowels and get a really good consistent flow with our bowels, we can use different types of colon cleansers. There's an herbal-based colon cleanser that we use. There's an oxygen-based colon cleanser. And you can do, one or the other. You can do both, right, if you want to. Both work effectively, okay? It just depends on what you decide you want to do and what your body tolerates best. You can also choose to do other supportive therapies like coffee enemas or colonic hydrotherapy. And so the oxygen-based colon cleanser I recommend is called Oxy Powder. And I've got a link below this video for that. The Oxy Powder is great. It's basically magnesium and oxygen, and it really helps to move the bowels, stimulate peristalsis, and really cleanse the bowels and oxygenate the intestinal cells. So very, very effective, great for usage. And Most people tolerate this really well. They do really, really well with it. And that's why I'll use it. Sometimes when it comes to a herb-based colon cleanser, like what we have here with our bowel mover, some individuals don't do quite as well with the herbal based. Okay. Now, other individuals just don't do well with the magnesium and oxygen based. So, good idea is to experiment, kind of see which one works best. I tend to gravitate towards the oxy powder um, before the bowel mover. However, the bowel mover also has a whole bunch of herbs in it that help support the digestive tract in general, help support the flow of digestive juices. They're carminative herbs. They act as antimicrobials. So there's more added benefits to the bowel mover. However, if you tend to be a very sensitive individual and you're just looking for colon cleansing, I recommend the oxy powder. If you're looking for overall digestive improvement, the bowel mover is a really, really great strategy, great usage, a great thing to use. And don't worry, these are both gentle. It's not like you're going to be running to the bathroom right after you use them. I always recommend starting small, right? Starting with like 1 to 2 caps at night before you go to bed, and then 1 to 2 caps in the morning when you wake up. That way, you just don't overwhelm your system, and you can work your way up from there to find a good dosage that really gets you moving if your bowels are not moving effectively. So hopefully that's helpful. And then coffee enemas can be really helpful. So you can actually cook coffee and then let it, ideally, again, organic, high quality coffee, and then let it sit at room temperature. So that way, it gets back to room temperature. So it's not hot. And then you get a enema bucket and hose. And basically you do an enema. Okay. And there's videos online that you can look at on how to do that. And basically, the coffee has these compounds called palmitates, and coffee is a bitter herb. And we know bitters are good for the liver. Other bitters would be things like ginger, things like artichokes and radishes. These things are all great for the liver. And so coffee is in that group. And the palmitates, when coffee can be good for the liver when you drink it, but it can be amazing when you do the enema. And it actually helps to dilate the bile ducts and increases bile flow. And that's really a way that we remove waste. We need good, high quality bile flow. And if you're struggling with constipation or you're struggling with chronic issues, you're probably not getting enough good quality bile flow. And that's important for detoxification. So again, these palmitates increase glutathione levels in the liver, which helps with phase 2 liver detox. And then they also help with phase 3 because they help support bile flow, right? And that's extremely powerful for the body. So again, palmitates support glutathione, all right? Most people when it comes to liver detox, they typically tend to have decent phase 1 liver detoxification, but phase 2 usually is slow, and that has a lot to do with glutathione. And then phase 3 for many people is very sluggish, and that's the bile flow. Okay, so the caffeine, the theobromide, the theophylline all help to increase that bile flow from the coffee enema. So this is another good strategy that you can utilize in order to help enhance this process. Now, after you're finished with this 3-day colon cleanse, doing more of this liquid diet, doing these some sort of herbal or oxygen-based colon cleanser, and possibly a coffee enema or a colon hydrotherapy if you want to use, if you want to go to a clinic for that. Afterwards, you want to reset the microbiome. So you want to eat a really good high-quality diet, an anti-inflammatory diet that uses real whole foods, nutrient-dense foods. Okay, you want to remove any sort of food sensitivities. So if you have had sensitivities to dairy or eggs or nuts or whatever it is, keep it out at least for a period of time as you're resetting your microbiome. And then you can slowly and intentionally reintroduce and see how your body tolerates it. You want to make sure you're hydrating your body well. Really good time to use probiotics after this cleanse, okay, to reset, re-inoculate the biome. And then when you're eating, solid foods, when you're eating meat, for example, you want to make sure that you're supporting your stomach acid levels and also your enzymes. Okay, so taking a good HCl support and also digestive enzymes can be really helpful. And then, just really creating a regular rhythm where you're having 1 to 4 great bowel movements daily. Obviously, the more food you eat, the more bowel movements you're probably going to have, and the larger bowel movements. And the less food you eat, the less bowel movements, and the less the smaller the size of the bowel movements. So it can range, okay, but at a minimum, 1 good high quality bowel movement daily. And if you're eating multiple meals, you should be pooping more like 2 to 3 times, maybe even 4 times daily. Okay, so hopefully this was very helpful. Would love to hear your questions, your comments. You can send those below, and my team and I will go back and answer those. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do, so you get all these updates and these uploads on different health topics, just like this one. And if you haven't hit the bell, click the bell right next to the subscribe button. That will actually notify you whenever I have an upload or when I go live. So you can get right on this video so you don't miss any of the most recent videos. So anyways, guys, hope you got a lot out of this and look forward to hearing your comments. Be blessed. Bye-bye.